if you're going to be an MVP quarterback or one of the greats or a great NFL quarterback, not a good or you can win with him guy, you have to be consistent. You're going to have a bad game. Everybody does. But you have to be consistent. And that, to me, was the part of this season that was the most – and it wasn't because, we have to account for injuries and some of the things that limited his ability to be consistent. But he was relatively healthy the back end of the season, and he was not consistent. He just wasn't.
So a few things. First of all, there's also a healthy discussion about 𝙒𝙬𝙀, who we haven't really gotten into as of yet. But the idea that Love doesn't read the field as well or as quickly as Rodgers did, again, like let's not let is it great be the enemy of good? I don't know how that saying goes. Like we can't hold
the
everyone...
enemy of great.
Okay, well, Aaron Rodgers is great. He is a generational talent. I understand things did not go well in New York, but there are very few people that can play at the level that he played at. So to suggest, well, Jordan Love can't do this or that Aaron Rodgers could, that is not the grading scale here. Does he need to be better than he was this season? Undeniably so. Do the people around him, to Matt LaFleur's point, need to be better? Undeniably so. My question is he good enough without being a Hall of Famer? Plenty of non-Hall of Famers have won Super Bowls. Now, have many of them ended up becoming Hall of Famers? Sure. But is he good enough? The debate that's raging in it's hard to keep track of which one. Looks like it's the Milwaukee YouTube comments. His bank account has been crowned, even though he shouldn't have been. Way overpaid. He will ruin this team's chances of affording additional talent for years. Then there's the other side of it with Michael, who says anybody who doubts that J Love is the guy, they don't know what they're talking about. The best way to put it. So
you can doubt. This is the beauty of sports to me. And Jordan is learning the difference in being a nice, plucky first-round pick and having not a ton of expectations in comparison to being the guy and being paid $55 million to be in face of American Family Insurance and all the other endorsements that he's got. That's the great part about it. This is the stuff that comes with that. And I would wonder when you guys talk to Jordan, if and when you do, how he views this season. Was this disappointing to him? Was it that's will be interesting as well, because I would bet Jordan will say, well, there's been some good things, but I was not consistent enough for our offense to be the best that it could be. That's what I hope he says, because that's what I saw. And I think most observers of this team would say, yeah, it just wasn't as good. Like, it wasn't as clean. There wasn't as much efficiency, especially with a run game that was as good as it was. And that's what I would hope Matt LaFleur is looking at it, because everybody knows what we saw Sunday ain't good enough to win a playoff game. What we saw against the Bears ain't good enough to win a playoff game. What we saw against the Minnesota Vikings, your last three performances, when you're scouting, you look at the last four games. That's what you look at the Saints are coming to town, let's look at their last four games. I look at the last four games. I don't even remember. Was it the Saints game? I ain't looking at that.
Dominant performance.
Not going to look at that. And even that game against a bad team wasn't it was good, but it wasn't like star-spangled. Oh, my God. You look at the three of the last four games that this team played on offense, and nobody is saying, that's a juggernaut. They just weren't.
Jesse, you've shown multiple texts in the last few minutes that are coming off of the Tucker Kraft comments, and I think the last one I saw was from Matt in West Bend. Can you cycle through there? So if you're watching on the video stream, my antenna went up after hearing Tucker Kraft yesterday. I'm not saying LaFleur lost the locker room, but is there an issue in that locker room? That think that's my point, is that I don't understand what he was driving at, and then into that vacuum of not knowing what he's trying to say comes this. Do we think Matt LaFleur has lost the locker room?
No.
I don't.
I don't.
I think there's disappointment that they played poorly. And again, I think that, maybe some of Tucker's comments, and again, I feel like I'm being misconstrued. I want to understand why he said what he said. If he believes that, that's great. But when you say a team needs a wake-up call, that is not a small choice of words. Because only dysfunctional or bad teams need wake-up calls. Good teams don't need wake-up calls. They don't. Because they're rolling.
I don't know. I think you always at some point maybe you're a little groggy, and it's like there's different levels to a wake-up call. There could be a gentle reminder wake-up call, or there could be a get your blank up, you're 3 hours late to a job interview wake-up call. So when you're playing in the NFL, there's going to be some games you just aren't there and you need a wake-up call. I don't think this isn't one of those, boys, we're 3 hours late to our flight, and if we don't get there, bad stuff's going to happen. That's not, I don't think there's that urgency with it. It's more of I'm sick of this. Let's get up a half hour earlier so maybe we can prep and be better. 6 o'clock ain't cutting it anymore. We need to start waking up at 5:30. That's more the vibe I got than there's blank all over the place. If we don't get there, this thing is blowing up. That's not the vibe I got from Tucker.
We're not walking the walk. Again, I look at what they have done.
A lot of cliches.
So again, I don't know. I wish I had been there. I'm only one person. And
hey, thank you for your service to everything you can do. But what I'm excited about, this is not breaking news by any stretch. I don't want to get us into that, but I just saw this tweet. I just tweeted it out. Davante wants to come on home. Davante Adams wants to come on home. K. Adams Show, up in Adams. What do the Packers need to focus on this offseason? K asks. Davante, and I quote, well, it's looking right now like they might need some receiver help in one way or the other. Maybe a veteran or something. We'll see. Hey, 17. Come on home. McManus will give you his number. Come on home. Come on back. Did Tay get back to you and tell you he's coming back to Green Bay?
He did not. No, not yet anyway. I will circle back.
He just told you that he's got some tacos that you can come to his house and eat.
I'm only allowed to use the drive-thru.
What a funky idea for a commercial. I don't get it, but it worked because now I know, I'm not going to say what brand. Kind of want to go to Tay's house. Nah, there's no ice cream at this one.
Josh wants a Baskin Robbins in his house.
Cheaters don't get chicken.
What does that mean?
It's the latest punchline in his latest commercial. He says to the guy, cheaters don't get chicken. And the guy goes, I won't give him any. Guess he had to be there.
Who's cheating?
I guess just watch a
we
football
get our
game.
Chicken. We get our chicken
from Quick Trip. We ain't worried about no cheat. Yeah, what are we doing here?
I didn't say where it was from. Just cheaters don't get chicken is the punchline of the commercial Davante Adams is in. That's all.
I never thought Tay Adams would ever come back to Green Bay. I never did. Once we traded him, I thought it was done.
Wait a minute. We don't know if he like. Let's explore this further.
If you'd let me finish. I just never in a million years thought he's gotten older. He got paid by the Raiders, Carr, all that stuff. Rodgers with the Jets. Never in a million years. We went young. Oh, we got all these emerging stars. Well, that cream never rose. We ain't got no butterfat. Davante's our butterfat. We want to start making ice cream and great grassland butter. We need some butterfat to come back into our bulk tank. Davante Adams is our butterfat. He is our cream that we need to get some more of this to come on up. Tay, come on home. Be our grassland butter. We need you. And I know he wants to come back. I never thought we'd see that day. I think he knows he can right a wrong. He made a bad decision. He didn't trust that Jordan was going to be a guy.
He didn't. You're right.
And that's part of this whole process. How often in life, when you're still a really good player, I'm not going to say he's in his prime.
Correct.
That you can right a wrong in real time, in somewhat real time to still salvage? You don't get that in life. You're more, when you're older, you're like, I wish this would have happened. Tay, you can do this in still being a great player. How fortunate could you be? Not only the Packers, but you, too. This is rare stuff. Come be our butterfat, Tay Adams.
I'm not here to tell you the best way to pitch Davante Adams to be a Packer again.
He might be lactose intolerant. I don't know. He might be. But my point is, we've said all year, cream rises to the top. I am a bulk tank guy. We used to drink milk right out of the bulk tank back on the farm. And the cream always rose to the top. That's what we did. And how do you make all the delicious stuff? You have that butterfat that comes to the top, that cream, if you will. Tay can come back, be that leader in that room, be that number one wideout in a time when nobody thought this was going to be possible, and it's here. And you sense on Up and Adams, he wants that to happen. Oh, baby, let's go.
I just want to ask one follow-up because we need to play trivia next.
Okay.
What has changed during the course of this season? Because, and I know we haven't instituted the new Check the Tape program, although we've got, I noticed, I have not delved into my LinkedIn messages, but I believe I have multiple folks who are offering to become the Check the Tape person.
Replay review assistant?
I don't know if they understand just how extensive this job might be, because I'm going to give you an example of how extensive and how you got to go back into some pretty deep archives. Because there was a time on this program when I was the Davante Adams apologist. He'd won the Mully Award 3 times. He was my guy. I'm a little frustrated he didn't text me back yesterday. But I was saying that this team would still be better off if he was here. And the whole J.R. Ewing friends debates, if Davante was available, I don't even want him. There was a time that was being said on this show. And now to be in this place, what is the shift
not
for
from
you?
mid-season on. Jason, here's the deal. I bought into the ensemble cast. I thought Friends is one of the great sitcoms of all time. It is. And are wildly successful. We thought at the end of last season this group was going to be wildly successful. There was going to be cream rising. There was going to be a Jennifer Aniston, Jaden Reed. There was going to be a Christian Watson. I don't know who Christian would have been. But that was going to be the case, and it didn't happen.
Monica.
So I can sit here and say, this is what I expected, just like Davante could say, I expected to go with Derek Carr and be star-spangled awesome while the Packers were going to struggle. We both could be wrong. The Packers could have been wrong for trading Davante and not give him that fat deal. Davante could have been wrong for not, letting that go and staying and believing in Jordan Love. Both could be wrong, and a reunion could be so right. It just doesn't happen, Jason. It doesn't. Got an opportunity to have something special happen.
All right, we need to play trivia. John with a text before we get there. I'm all in favor of Davante Adams coming back to Green Bay. So Tash, I think that's you, and Brian Bulaga.
But that would be an O, right? You'd have to go
Well,
O.
they Tosh.
And the other players that are now radio guys, that you and Gary Ellerson can all start lobbying to reach out to Davante to have them come back. You guys have the power. Make it happen. Thank you. That's from John. Hey, I think if Davante,
I just did my part.
Yeah,
I just did my part. Jason reached out to him. You know what? Who will have the power to bring him back? Goody. And whoever the Jets hire, because the Jets have his contract. I don't know if they're going to continue to pay him. I guess they're going to go rebuild city. Is somebody going to give up a 5th or 6th round pick for him? I certainly hope Goody would. They're not going to get a 2nd or 3rd round pick for Devontae.
Devontae also, in a subsequent Up and Adams clip, talking about how he still believes in Jordan Love.
Let's go! Let's go!
So again, I'm gonna reach out to him again later today, because if you're really trying to get people to know about your desire, I think we're a pretty good conduit to try and help with that cause. So I will offer up our services, because I don't want to say he's putting on a full court press, but he is a pretty good basketball player, and he is definitely.
Can we all agree?
It's getting beefy.
Whereas probably 10, 12 weeks ago, we maybe couldn't. Can we all agree now? Come on home. Come on home.
We all agree? We're about 5 layers into it, if I'd say.
That's a taco joke. A little nacho joke.
Taco
I got
Tuesday.
that one. It's not about cheating chickens or whatever else you were talking about.
All right, we need to play trivia. Jesse, I assume today's category is Taco Bell, and you want caller 17.
Jason, is there a reunion is there any reunion that you could think of that would ever make more sense and redemption on both sides, more so than this one, could potentially happen?
Yeah, let me take the commercial break to think about that, because that's a good question. Jesse, what's the category? What caller do you want?
John tells us he was voice texting, by the way, so that's where the misspellings came in.
Will Day and Tosh.
Give him the benefit of the doubt there.
Will Day and Tosh.
The Wild Card Weekend Recap is today's category. Since we didn't do any trivia yesterday, recapping now that all the games are in the books.
Well, the Wild Card wasn't recapped till this morning, so you're fine.
Wild Card Weekend Recap. I put 22.
Is Kay Adams like a recruiter for us? She brought Xavier McKinney in.
Yeah.
Kay Adams is like, she should be getting paid by the Packers. She is recruiting for the G&G.
Caller 6. There were 6 games on Wild Card Weekend. We will take caller 6.
I think she's in Appleton. She has Appleton ties, I believe. So maybe that's her association. I think she is a raging Packer fan. Is that accurate, Jesse?
I don't know that. We follow each other. I guess I can send her a direct message and ask. I'm never really interacted.
Get her on
with
the show.
Her show's
her
like directly
on the show.
Her show's like directly on at the same time as our show, which makes it kind of tough to
see if we can get
Let's
her
get
on the
Steve
show.
Scafidi then.
I don't care, he says. Just take off from your show and come do ours.
Why don't you take off from our show and go do hers?
It's battle of wits.
Caller 6, 844-770-3776. 844-770-3776. Want to remind you, too, everyone has seen the devastation in California. If you are able, please help those that have been affected by the wildfires in 2025. Donate at redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover. That's redcross.org/ESPN.